just so happened that several people said, when I belong, I feel whole. I feel whole when I belong. And so that is really the wholeness we're going to talk about. There is a word often used in the Old Testament that means all of these things. It means completeness, soundness, welfare, peace. But there's also relational wholeness. There's also not war between us. There's friendship and there's connection. And above all, there is relationship with God. This is peace. And it's mostly just translated as peace. And so we know there's a sense of fullness, completeness when we first encounter the word shalom. Then also there is strength. It's not a frou-frou thing. It's a powerful thing, this shalom. It's what makes God's people strong. So now we have, I think, a thorough understanding of peace. But here's a beautiful other aspect of it, and that is we can carry it. We can carry it as His people. So all of these aspects, completeness, soundness, safety, and so forth, peace, in friendships and with God, that is biblical wholeness. That's what it means to be whole. This shalom, this wholeness comes when His government increases. The more of His rule, which will never stop increasing, the more wholeness He brings in the wake of it. The more He rules in every aspect of our lives, the more wholeness He brings. That's the prophecy. The purpose of this wholeness is to come real close to everything and everyone that is broken. I'm here for the captives, for the blind. So that's what His wholeness is for. And He does that in many ways. One of the ways is by speaking His word over us. I've spoken these words to you so that you may have peace. And in this world we will have tribulation. So now we have whole and tribulation next to each other, so we can clearly see that wholeness does not require everything to be okay. How do we access this wholeness that Jesus is the source of? How do we get it? There is actually a choice to be made in the same way as there is a choice to be made in salvation. There's a choice to be made. Come to Jesus. You have to actually come. Our brokenness can be a very powerful excuse. It can allow us to hold on to bitterness that can taste so sweet, deceptively so. It can give us all sorts of cop-outs where, well, I can't help it because. And it is true that sometimes in our brokenness, we say, well, nobody's helping me. Nobody's reaching out to me. Nobody cares about me. Nobody asks how I am doing. And this is a reality every single one of you have faced or are facing or will face if you haven't yet. Is that there are times when we are like that man and there's no way for us to, or it seems there's no way for us to get to the healing and nobody will help us. And even if they do, somebody else is there first. And Jesus understands that. And when that gap is there between where we are and our ability to get to the healing, He is willing, as He is with this man, to say, well, all you need to do is to be willing to be made whole, because I warn you, if you are whole, there's work for you. So wholeness begins with this choice to no longer look to the people who aren't helping or some sort of excuse, and to look to Christ. And then to be willing to get up and walk. There's another choice to be made, and that is to sometimes push through the resistance. Sometimes healing takes the faith that if I can just get to Jesus, and sometimes it takes some pushing through the crowd. If we want to be whole, we step into this commitment. I will grow up with you. I will let you bump into me, show my immaturity so I can deal with it, so I can bring it to God. I will rub up against you until we're both blistered and annoyed, and then we'll deal with that part of our flesh. Let's grow up together. It's messy, people. Belonging and wholeness is messy. One of the ways is to confess our sins to one another so that we may become whole, so that we may be healed. Because wholeness is this ability to do life together with the good, the bad, and the ugly. How deep into brokenness are we willing to carry the news of wholeness? How high is the mountain over which I will be the feet? Do I really want to do that? Do I want to go into the messy of your life and allow you into the messy of mine so that we can experience shalom? Do I want to? Take us in spite of our brokenness, and He will give us the ability to rise. He will give us a job to do, and He will send us somewhere to go and be meaningful. That's the purpose of it. The Bible doesn't make anywhere in the New Testament provision to be whole all by yourself. You cannot be whole all by yourself. The true wholeness that Christ has brought is experienced together in community by various degrees of brokenness in us coming together in this beautiful whole in which Christ chooses to dwell. It's a miracle. We are also whole so that we can be effective. That's the purpose of it. Whole not because we did something right, but because there is a lot to do.